Don't you love it when you almost get arrested for mistaken identity? What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning into her spiel. My name is Shar, and this is pretty much where I just come on to ramble and talk about whatever in the hell I feel like at the moment. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell, then you will know every single time I upload a new video. I wish I could tell you I had a schedule for uploading videos, but at the moment I really don't. It's pretty much random. So hit that notification bell if you want to be alerted when that happens. So today I have a little bit of a story time. So my husband and I both work the same job, essentially. We both run heavy equipment, we move dirt, we build roads, what have you. We're working on this site with this guy. We're gonna call him Steve. So Steve and I did not get along right from the very beginning because he had a bad attitude and he was just a nightmare of a human being, and I just wasn't a fan right from the beginning. And one morning, we're on our way to work and there's a school zone directly before the entrance to our job site. So we're driving down the school zone. I look out my window. I'm in the passenger seat. I'm not driving at the time. I look out of the passenger side window and I'm like, hey, that looks like an undercover. That looks like a few undercovers. And I'm like, how fast are you going? My husband's like, oh, I'm going 30. Okay, well, that's good, because yeah, somebody's day is about to get fucked right up because there's a bunch of action going on over there, a bunch of undercovers doing who knows what. That's fine. We drive our 30K through the school zone, get to the entrance of our job site, and this entrance basically goes from pavement to nothingness. It's a road that we have made accessible, made it able to be a road, but it was not a pre-existing road at all. It's not supposed to be a road. And so there's like a kilometer of this. It's like a kilometer of this makeshift goat trail, gravel-ish type road before we actually get to where we're working and where we have our safety meeting in the morning and where all our equipment's parked and all that stuff. So we get through the school zone doing 30, get to the entrance of our job site, we drive in, we pull off, we park where we would normally park in the lineup of vehicles, and we start making our way over to the safety meeting area, like where we're just all standing in this congregation around a tailgate, you know how that goes. And so I'm on my way to this congregation area. My husband is doing, I'm not entirely certain what, probably getting something out of his boot or getting gloves out of the back seat or something. I don't know. He was taking a sweet time. He was bringing up the rear. He was not right next to me. He wasn't right behind me. I was definitely in the congregation circle long before he was. And so, as I'm about to tell my foreman, and did you notice all those undercovers? Like, did you see? Like, what's going on? Do you have an idea? Did you hear anything? As I'm about to say this to him, a cop pulls in. And so, like I said, our job site is off the beaten path. It's not as though he accidentally took a wrong turn, ended up there. He had to drive down the kilometer of garbage-ass makeshift pretend road to get to us. So he's intentionally there. He's there on purpose, clearly. So he comes cruising over to us real slow, and he's kind of like doing a scan of all of our faces and whatnot, like, you know, regular cop shit, I guess. And he says, did you guys happen to see a little silver car speeding through here a minute ago? And we're like, no, but there's no cars that come speeding through here. Like, do you see the condition of this job site? Like, no, we didn't see anyone coming speeding through here. So he's driving over, and we're all kind of like looking around, and we're looking at the vehicles that are parked, and me and two guys that I was working with, all three of us kind of looked at each other, and then we looked at this shifty guy, Steve, and we're like, what color was that car you were looking for? Because I think at first he said like an Acura or something, and I'm not sure what cars were in the lineup of the people I was working with, but I don't think any of them were an Acura, so I was focused on the Acura thing, and I was like, no, there's no Acura here. But then he's like, you didn't see a little silver car? And we look in the lineup, and we're like, little silver car, hey? And so as this is taking place, as we're coming to these conclusions amongst ourselves, my husband is finally getting his ass over to the safety meeting. He's coming from our truck, which we parked at the end, which makes sense because we were the last ones there. And he's walking over, and as he's walking over, he catches the cop's attention, apparently. And just to give you a little context, my husband has like shoulder-length hair, always wears a bandana, and on this particular day, it just so happened that he was wearing a support sweater. So I suppose I could understand him doing a double take in his direction. I get that. So my husband's walking over from our truck, which is parked in the last place because we were the last ones there, and he's walking over, and the cop sees him and cruises over there, and immediately he jumps out of his car. He's over to my husband. He has his frickin' hands behind his back, and he's shoving him up on the hood of the car, getting the cuffs on him, telling him he's under arrest. And I'm, of course, like, what the actual fuck? And so's my husband. He, like, drops his lunch kit, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what do you think I did? And so then there's me with no filter and no restraint whatsoever, and I run over there, and I'm managed to weasel my way in between the cop and my husband, because obviously the cop is standing, has my husband bent over the car, whatever, whatever. I get between the two of them, and I'm just in the cop's face, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get these fucking handcuffs off my husband. Like, we didn't fucking do anything wrong. Like, what are you trying to arrest him for? And I don't know why that's a thing for cops. Like, just fucking answer the first time somebody asks. Like, how hard is that? What am I being arrested for? This is what you're being arrested for. Oh, okay. That's a normal, acceptable back and forth. When you have to ask him 1,500 fucking times before he will, like, whisper the answer, that is why people hate cops. That is one of the many reasons why people hate cops. And so, I finally get him to fucking look at me for 2 fucking seconds and manage to utter out the words, "You were going over 100 through a school zone." And I was just like, yeah, no, buddy. No, that wasn't us. 100% wasn't us. You got the wrong people. You suck at your fucking job. Like, that definitely wasn't us. We were going 30 on the nose all the way through like we do every fucking day. And so I'm like, and I'm literally screaming these things in the cop's face. I'm like so right up in his face. And so, of course, my husband, who doesn't want us both to end up in handcuffs, is like, can you just get the fuck out of here? Like, what are you doing? Like, fuck off, stop it. Like, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. Like, just cut it the fuck out. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I turn around, I, like, wander back to the group where everyone's still kind of standing in awe and was, like, wondering what the fuck's going on. And, yeah, so as I'm regrouping and whatnot, these other 2 guys that I was, you know, having eye conversations with before about who they might be looking for or whatever, we're looking at Steve. They're looking at Steve and they're looking at me and they're looking at his car. And then the cop, I don't know if it registered to him that perhaps we weren't lying and maybe he really did have the wrong people, or maybe he just saw some movement out of the corner of his eye and had a look-see and this is what was happening. I'm not really sure. But the cop, like, just kind of cocked his head a little bit, and him and Steve locked eyes for like 2 seconds, and that was all it took. And next thing you know, Steve is off like a bat out of hell in his little silver car that was parked next to our pickup, because he was the second last person there, because he had pulled in just before us, which we did not know. And so to the cop, when he finally started actually doing a scan of the people and whatever, he happened to look over there, and it appeared to him as though my husband was leaving the silver car and walking over because he was walking past it, because he had come out of the truck and walked from the truck to the group, and the car was in between him and the group. And so yeah, you can understand the confusion, I guess, but I was still pissed. Still so pissed. Like, what the actual fuck, bud? So he gets in his car, he throws her in gear, he spits gravel, he's gone. He's gone. He's long gone. And the cop took him a second to get his wits about him, and then he grabs his little radio and he's like, put the spike belt down, he's on his way out. And like I explained, there's like a kilometer of garbagey ass road for his tiny little shit fucking lowered, ridiculous looking car to be bombing down and to be escaping on. And yet, with all that notice, they still could not get their shit together in time, and he still got away. That was definitely still a thing. So he finally lets my husband out of cuffs, and fucking he comes over and he's like trying to catch his breath. He's shaking, he's got all kinds of adrenaline going on, whatever. And so the cop is talking to our foreman at this point, trying to get some information about this Steve fellow and, you know, his known address and, you know, what he's all about, what his backstory is and everything. And he had just started with our company, like, not even 3 months prior, and he had just gotten to our site, like, a few days before that. None of us had ever seen him before. We knew nothing about who he was or what he was all about or what his story was. But he was exchanging information that he did have for him. And as it turns out, he had been in 2 high-speed chases that week. One of them had been that morning. And this is 7 a.m. on a Saturday that we were rolling into sight. So it was like early as fuck that morning that he had already gotten himself into a high-speed chase with these cops, who had managed to still not get him at that point. And yeah, I guess he had stolen plates on his car, and the address that he'd given us was bogus, and I'm pretty sure they figured out his name was bogus. So I don't really know who this guy was or what his deal was or what he was initially being chased for, if he was just speeding or if he committed a crime and they were chasing him after he tried to get away. I don't really know what the situation is. They didn't tell us. I didn't really press the issue. And so as the cop is standing over with our foreman, getting whatever information he can, I'm like 10 feet away at the top of my lungs just bitching and like, yep, this is our tax dollars at work. This is some fine police work if I've ever seen. Fucking you profiling motherfucker. Let the bad guy get away because you were too busy fucking worrying about the guy with long hair and a fucking support hoodie on. Like, I was just freaking out. It was fucking not even cool. And eventually he came and he apologized, like very profusely apologized, and I just wasn't having it. I was like, yeah, you're a fucking joke, get the fuck away from me. Like, I was just being a right bitch. It was quite something. But then, not even a week later, like maybe 5 days later, maybe, we're at home, like home, like where I am right now, we were at home. We're in the shop playing darts. That's what we do every night after work. We go and we play darts. It's like bingo for middle agers. It's like the one step before you get old enough to just play bingo every day. That's what we do. We play darts every day. And so we're in the shop, we're playing darts, and I'm like standing, the dartboard is on the inside of one of the doors. Like we have doors that open from the inside out. I don't want to call them French doors, but that's not what they are. But they're just, you know, standard shop doors that are like this and open like this. And so on the inside of the one door is the dartboard. And so I'm standing up at the doors doing whatever, scoreboard, whatever I was doing to the dartboard. And I have like a water bottle in my hand, a squirt bottle, because you're supposed to squirt your dartboard with water so that it stays moisturized and it doesn't crack and get all fucked up and fatigued, I guess. I don't know, that's what I was told. So I'm holding a squirt bottle in one hand and my darts in the other. And all of a sudden I can hear tires on gravel and I'm like, okay, someone's here. And I poke my head out the door a little bit and I was like, holy fuck, it's the cops. And he's like, no, there's no way. My husband's like, there's no way, you're fucking lying, like you're full of shit. And I'm like, no, for fucking real, buddy, it's the cops. So I like go out the door, I have my shit still in my hands, and I'm like just gonna go out and ask him, like, you know, what the fuck or whatever, like what can I do for you, officer, type thing. And I open the door and I'm standing there and I'm about to ask, like, hey, like, can I help you, like who are you looking for, type thing. And I don't see a cop, like, you know, slowly getting out of his vehicle to come and say hey and, like, you know, ask me who I am or what's, you know what I mean. There was none of that. There was just a cop standing on the other side of his open door, shaky, with his gun drawn, pointed at me. And I'm like, what the fuck? And my husband's like, what? Like, is he still behind me in the shop? And the cop's like, who's in there with you? And so my husband comes to the door and, like, makes himself visible, and he's like, this is me, I'm her husband, I live here. And he's like, what's the address here? And so I tell him, and he's like, you stay right there, don't you move, I'll be right back. So he fucking takes off. And I'm just standing there shaking, like holding my fucking darts and my fucking water bottle, like, up in the air. And I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck? And he's like, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, he just showed up and he had his gun drawn when I opened the door. I'm like, I don't fucking know. And as we're standing here having this conversation, the door that I have open and I'm holding, I hear footsteps behind it. And then a cop comes around the corner as we're standing there having this talk about how we don't know what the fuck is going on and how are we really supposed to stand here with our hands in the air for the next 20 minutes until Buddy decides to come back and tell us what the fuck. And all of a sudden, there's a cop right here in my face, comes walking around the other door and is right here. And I'm like, holy fucking Christ, like, you cunts are just everywhere. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, he literally looks at me and he's like, we got the wrong house, don't we? And I was like, yeah, I would say that's affirmative there, bro. Like, what the fuck? So he fucks off. We're like, fuck this, we're not standing here with our hands in the air anymore. So we go back and we keep playing darts, we continue on with our evening. Eventually, like, 45 minutes later, I hear tires on gravel again, and there's a cop pulling back in our driveway. So I go out there with my hands in the air, nothing in my hand. He's getting out of his car, and he's laughing. He's laughing, and he's like, oh, no gun this time, no gun this time. I'm so sorry. And I was just like, yeah, because that's funny. Like, that is how innocent people die, motherfucker. Like, if you were a rookie that was shaking like a leaf and fucking somebody's dog barked next door and you jumped, like, I'd be dead right now. That's fucking awesome. But anyway, what it turned out to be was that the lady that lives a couple houses down from us, bless her heart, she's elderly and kind of not 100% there. You know, the light's on, but nobody's upstairs type thing. And she had just had a tent garage built in her backyard to store, like, to be a shelter for her vehicle or whatever. And so that's where her vehicle was. And she had forgotten that she had that built and that is in fact where she was storing her vehicle presently. So she was 100% convinced that her vehicle had been stolen. And her vehicle, it was a black truck, I guess, and we have a black truck in our driveway, but it's like a big jacked up, like, mudder truck. Like, it's a mud truck. It's not a grocery getter. Like, there would not be some old lady bombing around town going to get the mail in this fucking big ass black Chevy. But whatever, it's a black truck, it's dark out. They saw lights on, like, around the corners of the door, edges of the door in the shop, so they figured, you know, oh, that obviously means that the people that are in the shop are hiding there because they just stole this old lady's big, black, jacked up fucking mudder truck. And so, yeah, that was how that went. That was what that was all about. Yeah, so basically we didn't have a really good week as far as interaction with the cops. It turned out okay in the end, but fuck me running. What an experience those two things were. Yeah, good times. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. I will have more story times. I have a bunch of story times, but a lot of them, quite honestly, I'm not sure what the reaction will be to them because I don't really know if they're like YouTube community appropriate or not. But really, I just don't know that if it'll be appreciated very much, but we'll see. I'll sift through them in my memory bank and see what ones I can come up with. But yeah, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. Notification bell. Hit the like button if you liked it. If you didn't, then tell me in the comments what you'd rather see. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.